You heard about the Bhagavad Gita before? Anybody here? No? You ever heard about the Bhagavad Gita before? Yeah, you've heard? Nope. Anyone else? You've heard of it? Okay. So Bhagavad Gita is it's a text 5,000 years old, spoken on a battlefield. Conversation particularly going on between Arjuna, the warrior on the battlefield, and Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. God is speaking to a warrior, but they're very friendly. It is you could say, instructive and friendly talk going on in some sense. They are great friends, but at the same time, Krishna is taking the position of a teacher because the warrior Arjuna is undergoing great anxiety in life. He's having an identity crisis over here. Everybody had that before? Anyone had that before? Yeah. I think all of us, right? Especially in your young days, or in your youth, you have a lot of that. What is life about? What am I about? What should I do? Where should I go? How should I function in this world? Is it worth functioning in this world? So these are the questions that, any intelligent human being may ask. So here Krishna kind of discusses that a little bit here. So, Neha Bikram. Activity in Krishna consciousness, or acting for the benefit of Krishna without expectations of sense gratification, is the highest transcendental quality of work. Even a small beginning of such activity finds no impediment, nor can the small beginning be lost at any stage. Any work begun on the material plane has to be completed, otherwise the whole attempt becomes a failure. But any work begun in the Krishna consciousness has a permanent effect, even though not finished. The performer of such work is therefore not at a loss, even if his work is in Krishna consciousness is incomplete. 1% done in Krishna consciousness bears permanent result. So that the next beginning is from the point of 2%. Whereas in material activity, without 100% success, there is no profit. Ajamil performed his duty in some percentage of Krishna consciousness, but the result he enjoyed at the end was 100% by the grace of the Lord. There is a nice verse in this connection in the Srimad Bhagavatam. Tyaktva sudharmam charanabhujam harir bhajan apaktvo patet tato yadi yatra kva vabadhram abhud amushyakim ko vartha apto bhajatam sudharmatah. If someone gives up his occupational duties and works in Krishna consciousness and then falls down on account of not completing his work, what loss is there on his part? And what can one gain if one performs his material activities perfectly? Or as the Christians say, what profit the man if he gains the whole world yet suffers the loss of his eternal soul? Material activities and their results end with the body, but work in Krishna consciousness carries a person again to Krishna consciousness, even after the loss of the body. At least one is sure to have a chance in the next life of being born again as a human being, either in the family of great cultured Brahmanas or in a rich aristocratic family that will give one further chance for elevation. That is the unique quality of work done in Krishna consciousness. Okay, just before I begin, I'll chant a few prayers and then give some level of understanding. Om Jnanativirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshuranitamena Tasmai Shigurunha Shuchaitanya Manovishtam Stapitamena Bhutale Swayam Rupakadamayam Datati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shiguru Shiyatapadakamalam Shigurun Vaishnavangsha Shrirupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitamtam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savajitam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shivishakan Vitamsha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpati Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhi Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhani Sute Devi Pranamami Haribhyo Vanchakalpatarabhyo Kripa Sindhubhyo Vichapatitanam Pavinebhyo Vaishnavibhyo Namo Namah Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vikasa Swaminiti Namane Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharini Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Pashyate Deshataranya Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivas Adi Gaur Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jnananandamayam Devam Nirmal Phatikakritim Adharam Sarva Vidyanam Haigrivam Upasmahe Guru Vaishnava Bhagavan Tiner Smaran Hai Vigna Vinashananaya Shahe Nija Vanchita Purana. Okay, so this right here, Bhagavad Gita, the main study here that is being done, especially in this second chapter, in some of these sections, is discovering or starting to understand the nature of that which is eternal and understanding that which is temporary, often referred to as sat or asat, reality, illusion, reality or temporary, or permanent or temporary, knowledge or ignorance. Now, these are very important topics. It's the benefit, or it's the point of any human being to try to figure these things out. What is actually eternal and what is permanent, what is not permanent. That is the duty of human life, to actually figure that out. What's permanent in this world? What's eternal? Oh, okay, he ruined the whole thing. Okay, what's eternal in our life? What's something that's permanent in our life? Anybody can say? Do we have any? Krishna is permanent. What was that? Change is permanent? Okay. Well, okay, change is permanent. Sure, it's always changing. Everything is always changing, right? Change is always permanent. So it comes to the point, well, everything is temporary then, because it's always changing, right? Change is permanent, so everything else is very temporary. So what is something permanent in our world? In our own lives? Death is permanent? No. Death is not permanent. Nature, it gets destroyed. It always goes on, sure. But it's, you can destroy nature. There might be a forest, just like we had a hurricane come through and completely rip apart the whole, whatever nature they may be there, completely kill that whole thing. And then it may grow again, but the point is that it's temporary, right? Coming in and out, changing. Anything else? Love, sure. Love, what, our high school love? The love in high school? Or the love a little bit later on, in our 20s, or our 30s, or our 40s? So many different types of love. Again, change. So what's sure, ultimately yes. But in this, we're talking about this body, and in relationship with this body. What is eternal? Yeah, the soul, right? Sure, we get to that point. But if we actually examine what we're actually engaged in our life, it seems that pretty much all our activities are centered around that which is temporary, or that which is asat, right? It is centered around ultimately this body. Our activities are centered around this body, me, myself, and I. This is who I am. But actually, this body is always changing, like I said. What's always permanent? Change is always permanent, sure. In this material world, yes. Change is always permanent, it's always changing. So the body is what we center ourselves around. How we center ourselves around this idea of this is who I am, this body is me. So therefore, because on that platform of a bodily conception of life, any extension of that is temporary. The love that we have is temporary. Whether that love lasts those few years in high school, or whether it lasts even throughout your whole life till death do us apart, death does do you apart. So even that's not eternal, because eventually it's taken away. We may have a career, and we may be into a career, and that is also taken away from us in different ways. Somebody may be a basketball player, for example, and may have an injury, may have worked his whole life in order to get to the top, and he gets to the top, and then, first season in injured, finished. Bound to become one of the best basketball players. I don't know, when I used to watch basketball, there was this guy called Zion. Is he still around? He's still around? I remember his first season, he got injured. He's injured again. There we go. So you work so hard, right? He worked so hard. A big dude, huge dude. A big monster, basically. He's like, And he worked very hard to get to the NBA and do his thing. But then the first season, you get injured. And all of your hard work, where is it gone? And it's nothing. It doesn't mean anything to anyone anymore. Okay, he may come back in and then whatever. But then there's so many players who have a permanent injury and then they can never play again. Or similarly, in our own lives, we may work so hard for a career and really make the endeavor, work really, really hard, but at the end of the day, we fall sick or something. Or you may work really hard for an exam in your school, right? Are you in university? Yeah, you're in university, yeah. You may work really hard for your exam, and then you get to it, and you feel sick, and then they fail you. Because I think you need some doctor's note or something. In my exams, when I used to do them, everybody wants to call in sick that day. But you can't, right? Or you call in sick to a job that you've been working hard for all your life. Now, I heard in America, they just fire you, no problem. And where I'm from in Australia, it's a little more chilled out. When I heard that, I was like, that's crazy. So it seems like what we're working for, it can be taken us away from us at any moment, and then will have no significance at all. Why? Because the nature of it is temporary. What are you going to do now? You've worked hard for it all your life, but it's taken away by, in 1 second. Our whole lives, sorry to be very pessimistic here, but it can fall apart tomorrow, right? If we're a little bit realistic with things. We've seen other people around our lives. It can be all wonderful today, roses and blue skies, and tomorrow everything is a disaster. Classic, best example is that, what's that hurricane that just ripped through Helen and this area's up in the north? Huh? Helene. So Hurricane Helene, it somehow passed through Atlanta without doing anything, and then got to North Carolina and completely just destroyed a whole section of North Carolina. Big roads completely gone. And it's the best time of the year, it's fall season. In North Carolina, especially that area, it's like the time when millions of people from all over the world come to get the happiness of fall season. But in one day, everything is ripped apart, completely taken away. What you've worked for your whole life, or to get a house, or to get a family, to get children, completely taken away. So what is permanent in this world? What is permanent? Our bodies are temporary, if you haven't noticed. They get old and they die. And anything related to the body is also temporary. That means our families, the work that we do with this body, the time we've spent, it all goes in time. It is all forgotten by time. It is all taken away by time. As Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, time I am the destroyer of all. And, I'm asking, what is eternal? Time. Time is eternal. Time never changes. Time is consistent, right? Time is eternal. Of all these things, time is eternal. And we, the soul, are also eternal. But this body is temporary. And any work performed with this body, on the platform of identification with this body, is also temporary. So, it's like trying to get to a destination, but we're running on a treadmill. You're trying to get the happiness. We're trying to find the peace. That's what we all do everything for. That is our endeavor. The reason you want money in your bank account is to have peace, to have security. The reason we want love is to get happiness, to get pleasure. The reason you have insurance is to protect yourself, right? Again, for peace, but it's to ultimately not die, to have that sense of that I'm not going to lose what I have. Where does that come from? Because everything around us is temporary, but we want a permanent situation. It's contradictory, right? Everything is temporary, but we want a permanent situation, right? We all want a permanent situation. We all want a stable situation. Nobody wants a life of just like crazy, chaotic things. Like in your dream. Like sometimes you go to sleep and it's just like, oh my God, thank God I woke up, right? It's like, what the heck just happened? How did that come in my dream? And it's like just crazy, scary things. And you wake up and you're like, oh, thank God. And then you go back to sleep and then you enter right back into that dream. I don't know if anybody's had that happen to me 2 days ago. It's like, what the heck is going on? Especially if you work a job and then you go work a job all day, you come back home and then you go to sleep and you end up in the same job again in your dream. Then you're like, oh my God. And in that dream, it doesn't matter how much you work. It doesn't matter what you get, whether you get happiness or you get distress in your dream. It's a lot of changes and all these things happen. But when you wake up, you're in reality. And that's what matters, right? Ultimately. And you know that. You know that your dream is not where you make progress. It's not like, all right, I can do whatever I want all day because when I go to sleep, I'll become happy because in my dream, I'll make $1 million. And you get the feeling of making $1 million in your dream too. If you ever make $1 million in your dream, anybody? Yeah, you have? Okay, there you go, big boss. So you can get that happiness. But when you wake up, it all means nothing. Right? It all means nothing. What was it? It's just a phantasmagoria. It's just some dream. So the Bhagavad Gita takes this study very seriously. It pushes one to start to take this study very seriously because nobody wants to run on a treadmill. People want to get to their destination. People want to move. People want to make progress. We want to make progress. We don't want to be stuck. We want something real. Right? We don't want the fake. So the Bhagavad Gita makes this study. It makes this point. It starts to bring us to the point of understanding what is reality and what is illusion. What is permanent and what is temporary. So Krishna is speaking this knowledge. This is not faith we're speaking. We're not speaking, okay, now you have to accept what I say. No, we are speaking philosophy. What Krishna is speaking is deep philosophy, the highest philosophy when one starts to consider. Philosophy means to try to come to a level of truth, right? Otherwise, and philosophy begins with why. Why this? Why that? Why like this? Why? Because we want to know ultimately the cause of everything. That's what philosophy means. So Krishna here, in this Bhagavad Gita, he's starting to come to the cause of our material life. And he is starting to teach Arjuna how to come out of that material life. By starting to understand what is reality, what is illusion. So, on the material path, on the material progress, the treadmill of material life, one cannot make progress. Because whatever progress one makes, ultimately, it is taken away by what? By your friends? No. By your enemies? No. By death, by time. This body goes, and you don't have a choice. You don't have a choice. Is it a very pleasurable situation when you're forced? It's not, is it? It's not, is it, when somebody puts a gun to you and says, give me all your money? It's not a very pleasurable situation. What do you think death is about? You don't have a choice. You have to give it up. You're forced to give it up. So Krishna says that this protects one from the greatest type of danger. Death is the greatest type of fear. Because at that point, all of our progresses are taken away, whatever you may have made. So what is that thing that protects us from all this type of, what is this fear? What is it that saves us from this fear? It protects us from this fear. The most dangerous type of fear. That is one starting to realize his real self. Who he is. What the state of the living entity is. Where he is at in life. And how to endeavor to actually make progress. What is real progress is redefined in the Bhagavad Gita. Progress is no longer just being able to make money. Being able to be successful materialist, whether it's becoming a great musician or writer or actor or whatever it may be. These are actually defined as not progress, because it's completely on the platform of the body. Progress here we start to redefine by study, not by faith, that progress is starting to understand what is matter, what is spirit, and who is the controller of both. That is knowledge, and starting to act on the level of that knowledge is real progress. You can't just have knowledge. We don't just study this Bhagavad Gita to say, okay, I have studied it, I know it inside out. But in order to progress, in order to apply it in our lives, and what is that application? That application is work, but work not on the platform of the body, but work on the platform of the soul. That gives us happiness. That gives us that satisfaction, that peace, that security, because you start to realize you're not this body. Actually, everything in relationship with this body does not matter. Because it's completely, just like you realize a dream is actually just a dream, it doesn't really matter. Similarly, you realize, this body and the progress of this body, or the material progress we may make in this world, it doesn't actually have any result in my life. So one naturally gives it up. Just like you've had situations where most people have the experience of maybe toxic people around our lives, right? We know when that it is not beneficial for us, that association, we give it up, right? We give it up. We say, okay, forget it. I'm not going to be in that atmosphere. And somebody who's intelligent gives it up. Somebody who's not intelligent will maintain in that. Because sometimes it can seem like fun, right? What a fun time. Because you go out with these people and they have a fun time. But ultimately, oh man, I shouldn't be doing this. It's no use to my life. Doesn't give me any good. Just gets me in trouble again and again and again. So we give that association up. Because of knowledge, we know, this is not good for me. And we have the strength to give that up. Similarly, when one starts to realize how material life is not good for one's spiritual progress, he realizes he's a spiritual being, and it is not good for my progress, then he gives that idea up. And it doesn't mean you become a monk. That's not what I'm saying. You can if you like. But the point being made here is that that same work that is done is transformed into spiritual work. And what that is defined here as activity in Krishna consciousness. Activity in Krishna consciousness. Now, right now, our consciousness is of bodily consciousness. That I am this body. I am the proprietor of everything. Actually, Krishna, in the next verse, actually a lot later, just before he ends his chapter, he tells Arjuna that actually one can get peace by understanding this point, that he's not the proprietor of this material world. That he can simply just get peace by understanding this point. Let me see if I can bring this up here. So, okay, a person who has given up all desires for sense gratification, who lives free from desires, who has given up all sense of proprietorship and is devoid of false ego, he alone can attain real peace. So when one starts to not have this idea of sense of proprietorship, desire for sense gratification, try to get happiness in this world, and who is devoid of the false understanding of himself, he can find peace, he can find happiness. So what is the self? What is the self? Well, we said the soul. Now people don't have a clear idea of the soul also in this world. The soul is completely different from this body. It is different from the mind. It is different from the intelligence. It is purely spiritual. It is not matter in any way. It's the soul's nature is Satchit Ananda, eternality, knowledge and bliss. That is our nature. Therefore, we also have these tendencies in this world to try to get knowledge, to try to get happiness, to try to live forever. That comes from the soul. But on this false identification, it is not being exhibited. It cannot be exhibited. It cannot be experienced. So, when one starts to realize himself as the soul, in relationship with Krishna, who who is the ultimate, he is the, you could say, the super soul. Just like in our lives, we naturally, when we understand we're human beings, we want to know who is the father, who is the mother. So similarly, the soul also comes from a person. The soul is a person. We are persons, if you haven't noticed. So the person on the platform of Krishna consciousness, Krishna being the original person, his consciousness has to shift from this material consciousness to Krishna consciousness. It means that is the spiritual platform. Start to recognize who oneself is, who God is, and what that relationship with God is. When he starts to perform action, karma, which is the word karma, action on this platform, in this platform of consciousness, then he starts to make progress. Because this is the ultimate desire of the soul. This is the platform of the soul. This is where one can make real progress. And on that platform, the activities that you perform are permanent. They don't go with this body. They don't go with that relationship. It is not like high school or university or this and that. It is permanent. Why? Because the soul never dies. Krishna makes the point in the Bhagavad Gita. The soul never dies. This body dies. We never die. Is it Socrates? You can kill me, but you can never catch me. You can kill this body. The relationship with these bodies will end. The material world will continually change. But the living entity, the body, us, the soul, we will never die. We continue. If anybody has heard of the concept of reincarnation. Just like even within this body, there's so much change happening from boyhood to youth to old manhood to old age to death. The soul is consistent. The soul is there as the observer of this body. Similarly, at the time of death, the soul continues to another body. So the soul is permanent. So when one starts to act on the platform of Krishna consciousness, on the level of the soul, then he starts to derive benefit in which he doesn't lose anything. You never lose anything at the end of your life. It continues on in your next life. So what is that activity? That activity is called devotional service. Loving relationship with God. Loving actions, loving relationship. Loving reciprocation. And so one starts to function on that platform. What does it look like? Well, actually it looks pretty ordinary. Just like you saw that you came in and we're doing music, and you'll see that we're also eating food. We're also reading books. We're also walking around. We're doing many things. You met us up in the different areas where there was Walmart or Beltline. You'll see us walking around and doing things, chanting and dancing. Is that what we are doing when we met you? Or, huh? Oh, you didn't see us dancing over there. Okay. So it looks ordinary. Okay, people in the material life are dancing, and we're also dancing. People in the material life are singing. We're also singing. We're eating. They're also eating. We're driving around. They're also driving around. But what's the difference? The difference is in consciousness. The difference is in the proprietorship. We do not think we are the proprietors. We understand that Krishna is the proprietor of everything. Naturally, there is no more attachment to this material world. Naturally, there is understanding. One becomes peaceful. One becomes satisfied. So the point of spiritual life is not to stop activity, not to stop desires, not to stop attachment. But actually, these are all inherent qualities of the spirit soul. To be attached, to have desires. To have desires, to be alive, means to be alive. If you don't have desires, means this table doesn't have any desire, dead. To be attached, yes. But right now, it's false attachment. So it just has to be redirected towards the right attachment, which is towards Krishna, towards God. Our activities have to be, our progress has to be on that level. The music that we listen to, the books that we read, all of this has to be centered around Krishna consciousness, that which is permanent, that which is eternal. Then you can derive real pleasure. Then it doesn't depend on any of your material situations. There is no more fear. Doesn't matter if your body ends tomorrow. It doesn't make a single difference, actually. Doesn't matter if the whole world ends tomorrow. It does not matter. Doesn't matter if I die tomorrow. Not fearful. No more fear. No more loss or diminution. There is no loss or diminution on this path of spiritual life. You can experience that. People are always fearful in this world. When is things going to get taken away? Who's trying to take things away? But on the spiritual platform, nobody can take anything away from you. It is the inherent right of the living entity to be performing activities on the spiritual platform. Nobody can take your position away in your work, in your daily work of material life, and in our daily works of material life, or in school or this and that. Somebody can always replace us, but not on the spiritual platform. It is an individual endeavor. And when we help others endeavor in this platform, we make more advancement. So it's not the progress of envy like this material world. This world is, you step on each other's heads to get to the top, right? One person has to take if you want to get up to the top, you really gotta push your way up there. But on the spiritual platform, everybody's helping each other, because by that help, one helps oneself. It is real progress. It is a real platform of love. Ultimately, that's what it's all about. But that love, not for this material body, not for this material way of life, but love for the Supreme Personality of God in Krishna. And then one can experience the real result of love. One can start to feel the real symptoms of love. And it does not end. It does not finish. And so we don't have to change particularly our whole life and go and put on an orange cloth like I have on, and then do all of these things. That's not the point. That one simply shifts his consciousness from material consciousness to Krishna consciousness. How do we do that practically? By association, by having proper atmosphere, obviously, by having people around us that are also endeavoring in that realm of permanent, of the Sat, of that which is eternal. By coming together, by understanding, by discussing, by philosophizing, by coming together, practicing, like the food even, taking the food together. What is that food? That food is Krishna conscious. Why? Because we've cooked that, not with the idea of enjoying it ourselves, not the idea of proprietorship over it, but idea that actually we've offered it to Krishna with love. And then we're taking, has been offered to God. So it's at the center of our lives. And when we do that, you'll see that everything you ever wanted can be found right there, because that is the root of everything. Right now we're trying to find that happiness in these little branches, little leaves, trying to water that, thinking that will make those, that will nourish my branch, and that will nourish this leaf, but it's not doing anything. You have to go to the root. This is the root of everything. Yes, we may have our ideas of like this, like that, but you have to see, is that a material idea or not? But here is a process of spiritual life by which one attains perfection. Everything you ever wanted. Everything you ever wanted in life. Available right here on the platform of spiritual life. And that begins with the chanting of this mantra that you see behind me. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Begins with that. Why? Because it's sound vibration. Sound vibration has the immense power to change our consciousness. Material sound vibration, when you listen to music that talks about sex, drugs, and violence, that anger and that consciousness actually enters into you. You see that, kids that listen to that music, what is their life? It becomes like that. Similarly, this is a spiritual consciousness. This is a spiritual mantra, spiritual vibration. It removes our material ideas, our false egos. It comes to real ego, who we are. It associates with the spiritual energy. And so you can become satisfied. It begins with this process. And then from there, we have, coming together and doing it like we were doing it together here. And so this place, this Bhagavad Gita, this mantra, all of these things are there to help us progress in our real life. This is false. This is temporary life. We're in a dream state, illusion state of being. Although it's seemingly so real, just like in your dream, it feels so real. It feels so real. But ultimately, we're spiritual beings. And so we should endeavor on the spiritual platform. And so we have lives that we have to go on, we have children we have to take care of, we have families we have to take care of. We continue doing that, but we have to make it a point that we recondition ourselves, change that consciousness from me, myself, and I to Krishna consciousness. And so this center and this place here helps us progress in that. This philosophy helps us progress in that. So make that progress. Everybody's about progress. Everybody's about self-help. This is real self-help. Who is the self? Everybody wants self-help, but they don't know who the self is. So Krishna is giving that knowledge of who is the real self and how to actually endeavor. And by endeavoring on the right platform, you'll never lose. Nothing to lose, everything to gain. Don't delay, do it today. You have a lottery ticket, that's a win every time. Right? Why wouldn't you play? Right? So this is the platform. This you can get happiness. That's what you want ultimately. That's what we want. You can realize it for yourself. I'm speaking so much. You can go on speaking for hours and hours and hours, but if it doesn't turn into practice, what's the use? What's the use of speaking so much if we don't realize, if we don't try, if we don't, So we're requesting people, you give it a shot in your life. What's the problem? What have you got to lose? We've done so many useless things in our lives, so many times. But here's knowledge. It's saying, okay, here's some basis of knowledge. So make an endeavor. Make an endeavor. Yes, it is. Is it hard? Yes, it's anything that is worth your time is hard. Anything that is worth is hard. So give it a shot. Start in your day with this mantra. Wake up in the morning and begin with this. Make it a point to start your day with this. 10 minutes, that's all it takes to begin. 10 minutes in the morning, instead of sitting on your phone, instead of being, going on your phone and just experiencing anxiety of no satisfaction at the end of it. Throw your phone away. Literally. Sometimes I do that. I get up. As soon as I get up, I grab that thing and I flip it across the room. And then the alarm keeps on going off, so I'm forced to get up, right? Because it's so annoying, unbearable. So first thing, you begin. Don't get on your phone. Don't do this or that. Just make it a point, because it recalibrates your whole life just to begin with that, and to end with that at the end of your day. To remember again, okay, hey, because we engage with the material world so much, we have to remember it, remind ourselves again and again and again, I am not this body. I am spirit soul. I am the lover of, my platform is to service to Krishna. We have to remind ourselves again and again and again. So, you can begin with that in the morning by meditating on this mantra. And then ending the day also by meditating on the mantra. It's only 10 minutes. How many hours do we sit there sometimes? And a whole hour goes by, we don't even notice on your phone, right? So we have to make it a point to calibrate this mind that is so attracted to sense gratification. So, make it a point, and if I can hold you to it, you make it a point to do it 10 minutes every day for a week and see what happens. See the difference. Some people who are coming for some time, they know the difference. Yourself, Sabrina, right? Yourself, You're chanting 16 rounds now? Still. How long has it been now? 3 years. It takes you about what, 2-3 hours a day? She does about 2 hours of meditation a day. It began with like 10 minutes, right? See? Myself also began with 10 minutes, But it because it's a transcendental self vibration. Yeah, right? It's just, it's hard in the beginning. Actually, those things which are in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, those things in the mode of goodness is bitter in the beginning, nectar in the end, because it's tough to get yourself regulated, to become disciplined, to wake up early. It's hard, but when you start to do these things, they bring about peace, happiness. Naturally, even the body becomes satisfied, actually. So yes, it is a little hard to just throw away this thing and say, okay, no more. But one must have a level of determination and just do it. Can everybody do it for a week and then tell me how it went? Anybody want to give it a shot? You want to try it for a week? Yes? No? 1 week. Just 1 week. Nothing. 1 week. You can do it, right? 1 week. 10 minutes in the morning, 10 minutes in the evening. That's all. Oh yeah, we have the beads? Yeah, we're going to get some beads, and we're going to show you how to meditate on the beads. And he's going to go grab them real quick. So we chant this, there's a beads, and there's 108 of them in the beads. And so we chant that 16 times. So this is one mantra, and then so we chant that 1 times 108, and then we times that by 16. Now you don't have to do that, because it's in the beginning it's a little hard. Oh yeah, there you go. He's got the beads. I don't have my beads on me. So that's what the beads look like. And so you chant that. 1 round will take you probably about 15 minutes. So, later when you get used to it and become focused, it can become a good pace in which sometimes it's like 10 minutes, which is good, 8 to 10 minutes. And so it takes us about 2 hours, and we have a designated time in the morning in which we meditate. So our temple opens at 4:30 in the morning. You'll have to let us know because these doors are not open sometimes in the morning. Yes?
I'm sorry.
Yeah, let's go.
I'm new to all of this. I didn't volunteer to chant because what is the meaning of Hare? What does Rama mean?
Sure. Yeah, I'm going to explain all that right now. So yeah, Hare means the energy of the Lord, energy of Krishna, the spiritual energy, pleasure, potency. Krishna means all attractive, very beautiful. God is the attractor of all. He's attractive to everyone. And Rama means the reservoir of pleasure. So this mantra is a prayer, you could say, meditation, that actually is meant to situate us onto the platform of Krishna consciousness, in which we're able to meditate on Krishna, reconnect ourselves, yoga, reconnecting ourselves with Krishna. So it brings the spirit soul, by the sound vibration of this mantra, it removes, it sheds, or it wipes away the conditioning of the living entity and allows us to come to the platform of reality. Is there any other questions before we begin some of this chanting? Any questions or anything that anybody would like to say? Yes? So, what is the best yoga to practice? Yeah. So, Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita, this whole book is actually about yoga. So, Krishna says, this particular verse in Sanskrit comes, Yogi nam api sarvesham mat katena rantar atmanaha shadavan bhajite yomam same yukta tamo mataha. So Krishna, who is the proprietor or the establisher of the process and the system of yoga, he gives his opinion. He says, my opinion is that the platform of bhakti yoga is off the topmost. So there's a ladder of yoga. You'll see dhyana yoga, jnana yoga, and then bhakti yoga, love. Love is supreme. So Krishna gives this and gives his opinion, you could say, but he's the creator of that system, so his opinion is probably pretty important, right? It's like you've asked your professor, what part of the book should I study for my exam? You probably should take his opinion pretty seriously, right? Before you go in and take your exam. So Krishna is giving that knowledge. So bhakti yoga, love is supreme. Only love, by love can one come to the platform of pure yoga, pure connection with Krishna. No material motives.
There's a question though.
Oh, there's a question online?
Carlos.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
He said, what is the Krishna consciousness view of Jesus Christ and the cross? Not necessarily the Christian church, but the figure Jesus Christ.
Yeah, we're following in the footsteps of Jesus Christ, giving our consciousness. Our consciousness becoming God conscious. That's what Jesus Christ particularly taught, and so that's what the Krishna consciousness movement is teaching. It's an eternal principle. See, that's what the point that the Bhagavad Gita makes. It's not about the body, and that's what every great teachers in any line of religion make. Actually, the ultimate platform is to come to God consciousness, not to subscribe particularly to this religion or that religion, but to subscribe to that which is truth, that which is knowledge, right? Sanatana. Therefore, this is called Sanatana Dharma, eternal knowledge of the soul, eternal nature of the soul. That's what we're interested in, not interested in umbrella of, just that, I've seen that you don't discuss or try to understand ideas or try to philosophize in a logical way because we're under this umbrella of idea of a Christian. Therefore, nothing else can exist outside of that. We're not discussing like that. We're discussing on the platform of the soul. Not because I'm a Christian, because I was born in a Christian family, I'm a Christian. I'm born in a Hindu family, I'm a Hindu. No, that is not the point. We're not Hindus, we're not Christians, we're not Muslims. None of these things. These are some material designations in our lives. Christianity came about some time ago. Christianity maybe around 5,000 years from now. Islam. How do I say that? Why am I? Muslim. That also has come some time ago, and that will also end in time. But its soul is eternal. So this is what we're interested in. So the Bhagavad Gita is focusing on that. It's not a Hindu book. So people mistake that. Oh, that's your Hindu book. No, this is a book of knowledge. It's not discussing it. There's no word Hindu in here. You'll find that. You can study it. There's no word Hindu. It's a study of the absolute truth. Atato Brahma Jigyasa. Now you have attained the human form of life. Understand what is truth. There's no, it's like, Indian sun and American sun. No, the sun is the sun. So this is the study of truth. Study of Asat and Sat. And so only those who have a bodily conception of life will take this to be, this is just your Hindu knowledge. But it's not, it's a study of life. Anything else? Was that okay to the question that you asked? Sorry, before that I answered your question. Yeah? Yes, you have. Quick one because...
Yes, it is. Hare Krishna.
Yes.
Just quick. Just as you said, it's the same teaching.
Mm.
Just as Christ said, if you knew the real you, you would want for nothing.
Wow.
So if you know that you're the soul, you will want for none of these things.
That's true.
I'm in the world, but I'm not of the world. Same statement.
Wow, it's perfect. So, if you know the soul, if you know Krishna, if you know God, you won't want anything else. It's perfect. Summarizes everything. Okay, so let's do it. Let's stop talking and let's do it, right? So, these are the beads. And the way to hold him is in the middle finger on your right hand. And there's this little tuft of hair. It's on the other side of that. And the thumb just goes on top like that. Yeah? Everybody's got it? Yeah? And so the thumb just kind of rubs on the bead. And on the first one, you chant the whole mantra. When you finish chanting on the first one, you move to the next one. And then you make your way around, chanting one by one, all the way around. And when you're chanting, the point is to constantly hear the sound vibration. Don't worry about, having whatever. Some people say, oh, remove all thought. Don't worry about that, because the thoughts are there naturally, but redirect those thoughts to the sound. And so many things will come and go, but always capture the mind, bring it back to the sound. Okay? So the whole meditation is just upon the sound vibration that we are chanting. And so what we'll do a little bit, we'll do about 10 of them, now. And so it goes like this: Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Okay? So we'll do it all together, in unison for a little bit. And then after that, I'll make a few announcements, and then we can go downstairs and have a big feast. Okay? All right. So, 3, 2, 1. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Okay, we can keep going. It's good. Huh? Yeah, we can go on forever. But yeah, for who has the beads? I have the beads, but who else has the beads at home? Do you have beads at home? You have some. So those who have it, you can return the beads. Those who don't have it, you can take them with you. If you can give a small donations, that would be very helpful. Whatever you can do, there's no cost to it. It just helps us buy more and be able to give more out. So please take it with you, So every Sunday we have this program, and so please come. It's completely free. It doesn't cost anything. You can invite your family, you can invite your friends, you can invite your enemies, whoever you want to bring, no problem. It's good for all of them. So please come through. We appreciate having you here and the energy that you bring here. It's nice. And we want to create a nice community in which we start to help people come to this platform of spiritual life and coming to the platform of happiness. So yeah, we have every week. You can get some of these books. There's a book stand in the back, and Likra Shavanti Mataji, if you like any books, there's more books. You can get crazy number of books. You can get back there. There's programs throughout the week for the women. So Shubhadra Mataji here, she holds program every week, I think pretty much almost every other day, where she teaches the process of Krishna consciousness. There's a nice little women's group that get together and they do many different activities. She teaches, what do you teach in this thing? Cooking, decorating, just like you'll see decorations going up here. There's different sort of decorations, traditional decorations that she teaches, different arts and things like that. Right now, I don't think gardening is going on. There's also generally gardening as well at some point, and things like that coming in. So, be a part of the community. You can come and learn. So, other than that, for the men, just come along. Yeah, we're here, we come hang out. There's a lot of teachings going on also. We are online also. We have a YouTube account, monks with YouTube accounts. We have a YouTube account called Life as a Monk, in which we're creating a community online also, where we're teaching spiritual life to many people. So you can go and find out and subscribe to that channel. It's doing quite well. We're almost at 10,000 subscribers. We just started it recently. And then we also have a channel called Krishna Life, where all our classes are posted, all of these classes every day. So there's unlimited amount of content that you can reshape your life around. We're also on Instagram, Life as a Monk. And so please come through and associate and help your life and help everyone else around you. All right? Thank you very much. Okay. Hare Krishna. So everyone can head downstairs now. You can go to the back. There's some stairs that take